Hi everyone, I'm Jen, just getting set up over here. All right, hopefully you guys can see me. All right, hi everyone, I'm Jen Walker-Wall. I'm the founder and coach at workwonderscoaching.com, and I help smart, ambitious people do more of what they love in their lives and in their careers. So thank you so much for joining me. If you RSVP'd for this workshop, you know I had to change the date because I had bronchitis. So thank you for hanging with me. If you've joined since then, welcome. I know all of you are really busy people, so I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join me this evening. I'm really excited about the strategies I'm going to share with you this evening because to me, the material that I'm covering tonight is really the cornerstone of what my blog and business are really all about, which is helping creative people, awesome people, create lives that reflect their values, which are also often my values. So in case we haven't met yet, I'm Jen, and after 10 years in the nonprofit world, in higher ed, in human resources and research, and activism and training and all sorts of things, what I realized I was most interested in was really helping people do work, and whether that was social justice work or creative work. I really was interested in helping people make the most out of their time with projects that really brought them to life and that had potential to do good in this world. And so that's what I do now as a coach. I'm really bothered by the fact that it can be so challenging for good people to do good work in this world. So I'm deeply committed to making that a little bit easier. I noticed as I was reading the survey responses that for those of you who signed up for this workshop and completed the pre-survey response, the pre-workshop survey rather, that it comes down to managing time and energy and fear. So those are things that I'll be addressing tonight. But I also observed one other thing. And so there's like a little bonus section that I'll be addressing at the very end of this, of the content in this workshop. If you have any questions at all while I'm talking, you should feel free to send an email to jen@workwonderscoaching.com. And when I send a replay out of this to everyone who signed up, I will respond to all of the questions that I get, and I'll share the answers with everyone. So in case someone else has the same question, everyone will get any additional information that I have to share. I'm working on making these webinars interactive in the future, so hopefully the next one that I do, we will be able to talk to each other easily. Everything I found so far sort of like slows things down and stalls out, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm still working on finding the right tool. But in the future, when I do these things, I'm hoping to be able to communicate with you guys a little bit better. So the last time I gave a workshop on Google Hangouts, I delivered a whole bunch of content, and then I answered questions that people had submitted at the end. And this time, once I saw the questions that you guys had to ask, it just dovetailed so perfectly with what I had planned to talk about anyways that I'm actually just going to be answering your questions as I go. Basically, I just rearranged what I was planning to present around some of the questions that you were asking. If you're new to me and you're not already on workwonderscoaching.com and receiving emails from me, signing up for this means you're now one of my VIPs. You're a wonder worker, so welcome. It means you'll be getting Mondays at 1, which is a weekly meeting with me where I help you stay on top of your goals and your career. So there's basically like a weekly coaching email sent to you and all members of my VIP list. Plus, we have really cool things that are coming up down the line that I'm really excited about. So it's a really, really, really good time to join us. Okay. And I'm still a little bit sick, so forgive me if I have to cough. I will definitely lean away from the mic here. So I want to start with 3 comments that I got that sort of sum up really all of the survey responses. So the first one is, my job and commute leave me with almost no energy to do anything when I get home. I have no energy. So the second comment is, I have no energy left to do anything. How can I make progress on my goals? And the third one was, I give all of my energy at work and to my family. I lay in bed at night and regret the things that I didn't get done during the day. So this probably sounds familiar to all of you who are listening. People are really busy. This happens, right? So we just kind of get caught up in the day-to-day stuff, and it becomes really, really challenging to spend time doing the things that we want to do. And even at work, if we're, if we sort of followed our passion professionally, it can still be really, really challenging to feel like we're connected to the work we started doing. There's all kinds of other things that sort of get in the way, even at work. So I'm a big believer in saying no to things that aren't in alignment with what you want to be doing, and to really protecting your time and schedule that way. And we'll talk about saying no and doing that. But actually what I think, what the piece here that I think some people are missing is you need to actually have a clear understanding of what you need to do to feel happy at the end of the day. Like, what is it that you need to do so that you're not lying in bed at night thinking about the things that you didn't get done? So what was interesting about these 3 comments to me is that after reading them, I didn't know what your personal goals were. I had no idea. So no one really mentioned specific things that they were working towards. They just said they didn't have time and they were stressed out and they were feeling really bad about it. So my question to you is, what are your goals? And how much time have you really spent thinking about that? Of course, there's all kinds of things that go into like what makes a good goal. But if you are really feeling like you don't have a sense of that, brainstorming what you would like to work towards and spend more time doing is a really great place to start. I think people are quick to assume that they're bad at managing time. But really, I think if people are super clear on what it is that they want to do and need to do, you become a lot more likely to be able to take action quickly during the week. You don't always have to, these things aren't always time consuming. It's sometimes just a matter of having a weekly to-do list that is just for you and just for your goals. And they don't need to be acts that really take up too much time. So what people tend to not realize is that short-term, slow actions will really generate a long-term change. So some people are a little bit resistant to setting big goals because it feels scary. But I want you to feel comfortable just sort of, even if you're not sure what you want, to be ready to explore. Exploring goals and exploring new things and spending your time in new ways is a totally great way to start. Then you'll have a clearer sense of like, well, this feels really good. I feel really good after I do this. Maybe it's going to the gym. Maybe it's just getting outside at lunchtime. Whatever it is for you, you'll have a clearer sense. If you're still struggling with your why, here are some questions that you can ask yourself. Why did you go to college? What did you study? Why did you study it? What were you hoping to do with that background? Why did you choose your field now? What activities are you drawn to? What did you used to do that you don't do anymore? It's really easy to get disconnected from your why. And sometimes our why is our work, and sometimes it's things that we do on our own. And in that case, sometimes it requires a little bit more work to get those things in. How much time have you really spent brainstorming and writing your ideas down and thinking about what you want to do for yourself? What is it that you want? Think about that. What is it that you want to see? Do you want a new job? Do you want a blog, a creative project, to read more, to be more active, to start a business? What is it that you want? When you skip this step, you don't have an alternative to sort of spending your time meeting other people's needs. And that can be really frustrating for you, and you chalk it up to being a poor manager of your time, but you just really haven't laid the groundwork for yourself to be successful here. So I think it's definitely worth spending the time to really think about what you would like to see happen. And it can be in the short term. So what would you like the next month to look like? What would you like the next 3 months to look like? The time you spend being clear with yourself will pay off, I promise. So the next thing that I want to talk about is fear. Fear and procrastination and perfectionism can kind of be just a trifecta that really prevents us from making progress on things that are really important to us. So it can be fear of failure, it can be fear of the unknown. All of that can really fuel inaction. So actually, ironically, as I was writing my notes for this workshop and I was sort of procrastinating myself, it happens, and I stumbled across a blog post by Seth Godin, and it's really, really short, so I'm going to read it to you so that I don't want to summarize it. I'll read it. Okay, so here it is. To overcome an irrational fear, replace it with a habit. If you're afraid to write a little every day. Start with an anonymous blog. Start with a sentence. Every day, drip, 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 a habit. If you're afraid to speak up a little every day. Not to the board of directors, but to someone. A little bit every day. Habits are more powerful than fears. Habits are more powerful than fears. I love that. I think that really, for me, like, is exactly the process I take clients through and that I actually do myself. So let's talk about how to turn fear into habits, and how we can sort of manage that on a daily basis. We just finished talking about why having clarity is so important, and now you're going to see why. It can be really hard to make progress when your goal isn't specific and clear. So while committing to a goal can be scary, it's actually easier to meet a hard, scary goal than a totally amorphous goal that you never really fully commit to. And let me give you an example. So, like, what to you feels easier to make happen? I'm really miserable in my job and I want a new job. Or, this week I'm going to apply to 2 jobs and update my LinkedIn profile. Okay, so it's easier to take really concrete steps and to figure out what those steps are, than to sort of live in this place where you have this idea of what you want yourself to be doing. And a lot of people stay in that place of wishing things were different and wanting things to look different. And so the difference is between like wishing and wanting and having things look different are the actions that you take. And Seth's post is about, it doesn't have to be these giant steps. You don't have to just walk into a new office building and demand a job. It's about being really strategic and taking small steps in a consistent way. So some example of small steps that are perfectly fine ways to get started would be, applying to 2 to 3 jobs a week, updating your LinkedIn profile if you're a job seeker, if you're a writer, writing for 20 minutes a day. If you're thinking of starting a new business, emailing a friend and reconnecting and seeing if they would share some wisdom of their experience with you. If you're trying to be healthier, it could be going for a walk every day, leaving your desk at work to move a little bit, preparing a healthy lunch the night before. All of those are great ways to start moving towards your goals. Whatever your goals are, there are great small steps for you to start taking. One thing I've observed, I think because I work with such smart and ambitious people, is that smart and ambitious people are really resistant to taking small steps, right? They're used to doing like really profound, important, big things all the time. And big changes, particularly in your personal life, can be really, really hard for a lot of reasons, for them to stick and for them to stick for you. The truth is, you can create some really big changes in your life by regularly implementing small changes that you can measure. If you're not writing at all and you want to be writing more, 20 minutes a day is over 2 hours a week. If you're not networking at all, but you reconnect with 2 people, via email or LinkedIn, that's 8 new relationships in a month. That's 8 other sets of eyes looking at jobs for you. If you apply for 3 jobs a week, that's 12 jobs a month. So you get the sense here, right? That like you can't measure your progress necessarily by these smaller steps. But that's why I call these steps success metrics. And so when people are really afraid to make a really big radical step, we don't measure success in a job search right away by you getting a new job. Like, of course, that's the long-term goal, but you don't have control over that. You have control over taking the right actions and the creative steps that help you actually get a job, right? So those are 2 different things. So we measure your actions and your commitment to measurable steps, and we call that success. And we focus on the process, because it's the process that really leads to these outcomes that you want. Like, I think if my clients knew that I suggest, apply to 2 or 3 jobs a week, that would not be enough for them. That would not feel like enough. Like, that would not feel like they were trying hard enough. But in 4 weeks, that's 12 jobs. And I think someone who sets this goal of like, I'm going to apply for every single job that I qualify for this week, those people don't apply for jobs sometimes at all. And I know, because sometimes those people are my clients too. So don't be afraid to start small. I start small. A lot of my successful clients have started small. And big changes are really about changing the small things with intention and consistency. And if this is an area where you are struggling, I have a workbook, actually. It's called the Smallest Possible Step Workbook. And it's in a blog post. It's at the bottom of a blog post, and you can download it. The blog post is called What to Do When Fear of Failure Holds You Back. This workbook will take you through the process of articulating your goal, so you have a vision, and also the actionable steps you can take to sort of explore pursuing that. This post, Seth's post, reminds us that the best way to deal with fear is to just, it's head on. But head on doesn't necessarily mean, taking, quitting our job and giving notice. I mean, it means really engaging in the process of finding a new job, engaging in the process of writing or starting a business or whatever it is, and sort of recognizing that it is a process and you will make mistakes and that failure is kind of inherent. You're not going to get every job you apply for, but you're not going to get the jobs you don't apply for at all, right? So do what you have to do to set yourself up to be successful by setting metrics for success that you have control over. Take a sip of water. So going back to sort of the 3 comments that are guiding this workshop, what was underpinning all of them was, I have no time or energy left for me. And I would say I hear this from 100% of the people that I work with in some point or another. This is really common. And I've certainly felt this way myself. So I totally get this one. So I have a couple of really specific strategies that you can use, but this is also, I think, a big mindset shift. So you have a lot of obligations, no matter who you are listening to this right now. You have a boss, you have family, you have friends, you have your work, you have a lot of things going on in your life that you probably feel like you have to do. All of these things, all of your obligations, real and imagined, will feel better to you if you do prioritize things that matter to you. So let me give you an example. Often people think that they have to sacrifice their own self-care or their own goals to show their commitment, excuse me, to their work or to the relationships in their personal life. But you're going to be better at those things if you actually spend some time doing some things for you. So I have clients who feel like they can't work out because they're so busy at work and they're so busy with family and friends. But I want, whatever it is that you're too busy doing to do what you want, think about how it would feel to take care of yourself first. And so for me, like, working out is one of the things I do no matter what, because I can't help all the people that I'm responsible in my life for helping if I'm not working out. Like, it's good for my stress levels. It's how I deal with, any kind of anxiety about work that's going on. But also working out is good for your brain, right? So it's good for executive functioning, and yoga leaves me feeling refreshed. And so all of that is really important. So when you spend time doing things that feed you, you are better able to serve other people. So part of this about time and energy is about saying no, but it's also about saying yes to the right things, right? So one concept, one thing I've done that's been really helpful is to think about, okay, so I'm really busy. What is it in my life that when I'm done doing, I feel like refreshed and energized, even though that activity inevitably takes up time? What do I do that leaves me feeling better than before I did it? So for me, writing is this way, spending time with friends is this way, being part of accountability groups and masterminds is this way, going to the gym is this way, working out, right? So when I'm done with these things, all of these things take up time, and sometimes it's really difficult to feel like I can do these things, but I have more energy than I did before I went and did these things. So, even if it takes up time that feels really valuable, it gives me more energy and I'm more productive doing the things that I have to do and want to do afterwards. So for example, when I started actually writing every single day, that was, first of all, a really hard habit to pick up, and I started with 20 minutes a day. But I also just felt like, I don't know if I have time for this. I think I have to write for like 5 hours on Saturday when I have a day off, which is like crazy because I'm not a 5-hour writer kind of person. I realized once I was really waking up and focusing on my blog every single day, it made the other things I had to do that much easier. So, and by that I mean, like, I went into work and I felt like, I was happy to do the job that I was there to do. I would, see friends, and even though that felt like I've got too much going on to be social, that would give me kind of the energy to go on and do all these things. So So you have to sort of think about yourself as like, it's not just about time that you're giving up, like what are you getting back from that activity? And if you could say yes to like one or two of those activities a week, I think you'll notice a totally different orientation to your life. I think you'll feel less stressed. I think you'll feel happier. So my recommendation is to say yes to the right things as often as you say no to the wrong ones. And so let's talk a little bit about what we can say no to. If you're a mission-driven person or a creative person, you need to protect your time. No one's going to do this for you. You have to do it. And I've been tweeting and on LinkedIn sharing articles lately because I'm on this really big kick of saying no, and apparently all these other people are too. It's just I've seen so many articles about it. So if you go to my Facebook page or you go to my Twitter feed, you'll probably see that I've posted about how to say no. But the important thing is that you feel like you can do that. Like you're entitled to spending time on what matters to you. And even if it's a creative hobby that you don't have any interest in turning into a business, whatever it is that fuels you and feeds you is worthy of your time. So make sure you say that to yourself if you need to, because I think some people struggle with that. But one really specific strategy here is to really answer the question, what is it that I have to do every week? Or what is it that I have to do today even? So write that question down and answer it. And then go through that list. Once you've made that list, ask yourself, what happens if I don't do this? Right? So and there are some things that just have to get done. Like you have to pay your bills, you have to pick your kids up, you have to go to work. But what's on there that doesn't necessarily have to be on there? And a really great strategy too is to do this exercise with your partner, if you have a partner, or even at work with a colleague, and to talk about what can you delegate, what do you have to do, what do you want to do, and what can you let go of? There's almost always something that can be dismissed. And if it's too hard for you to think about giving up something that you're currently doing, put it on the back burner. Go a week without doing something and see what happens. So like you might decide to, order your groceries in bulk so you don't have to do that every single week. You might have your laundry picked up so that you don't have to spend hours doing laundry. Whatever this is to you that you can sort of delegate, I encourage you to do it. And some people really struggle with giving some tasks away, but I encourage you to do what you need to do to find time that's going to be really invaluable to you. I hope none of you are wearing headphones while I cough. I should have said that to begin with. So do this with a friend, do this with someone who can provide some accountability for you, and to brainstorm, because sometimes I think, we think, well, we have to do this. I mean, so something that is really important to me is like eating local food and shopping locally. And when I'm working 70 hours a week, like, what, if I'm honest with myself, and it takes me a few weeks of trying to do this before I am honest with myself, I don't have the time to cook whole foods from scratch 7 days a week for 3 meals a day while I'm working 70 hours a week. I just don't. I mean, that's literally why processed food exists, so that it's quick and easy. So, when I was really busy this semester, we had to take a break from something that was really, really important to us, and come up with an alternative that just required less time and energy from me. And I didn't love that. It didn't feel great. I was disappointed. But that's what I had to do to get through this sort of work comp, right? And so whatever it is, it doesn't have to be a permanent strategy. It can just be something to make your life easier right now. And so in exchange for giving up something that was really important to me, I got more time to do what I needed to do, to spend more time writing and to spend, more time on other projects. So I think you can do this. I encourage you to do this, and find someone who can sort of help you think about like what you can really let go of. Because really my husband helped me to really let go of that. It was hard for me to do that because I just really enjoy cooking, right? That's another thing. You have to kind of measure and figure out what it is that you really love to do and what you can do. I mean, sometimes, I'm not a food person full time, so that can't be my priority all the time, unfortunately. So those were sort of the 3 areas that I feel like really addressed the questions and the feedback that I got through the survey. But there was something that was being said in the survey that wasn't being said explicitly. So let me start by saying this. If I had to sort of create a profile of like my typical client or my typical reader, here's how I would describe them, my target people. They're smart, they're ambitious, they have a vision for their lives and for the world around them. They pursue careers and lifestyles that aren't about money. They have loans and high rent, and they face, a difficult economy and a difficult job market with tiny budgets for themselves and, for the organizations that they work with often. So in short, they're really awesome people with very, very real challenges. And my job is really to help these people weed through all of these things and help them figure out what it is that we can take control over. And so you just saw some examples of things that we can take control over by coming up with really clear goals, by turning those goals into small steps that aren't scary and that we can, be proud of and call successful, even if they haven't gotten us the outcome we're looking for yet. And one thing I noticed from reading the responses in the survey was how participants talked about themselves when they were not really reaching their goals. So people call themselves lazy, they call themselves unmotivated, and referred to basically any time they had that was free, not working towards their goal, as time that they were wasting. So I thought that was really interesting, and I really wanted to bring it to everyone's attention because my people, my wonder workers, are none of those things. Nobody's lazy, nobody's unmotivated. It's the opposite, really. So you might not be committing to the life that you have for yourself or the career you've envisioned in the way that you want to, but that doesn't make you lazy and unmotivated. So you're more than the sum of your behavior in your goal-setting areas. If you find yourself talking to yourself and sort of using this language of like lazy and unmotivated you, I want to challenge you to notice that. It can be really challenging to change that, but I want you to notice when you're doing that. It can feel really inconsequential to have this negative self-talk, but it's not inconsequential. And so not only that, like we can really take that opportunity of like talking to ourselves and turn it into something that's really productive and helpful instead of something that kind of makes us feel worse, right? So instead of lazy, you're probably tired, right? I mean, no one is watching this goal-setting productivity workshop because they're lazy. I mean, you probably have a lot going on. And you're probably not unmotivated. You might be burned out. You might be tired. There's probably a million other things going on in your life, taking your time and taking your attention and energy. And maybe instead of wasting time, like the moments when you're zoning out in front of the TV or whatever it is, you need some rest. Like that's okay. You're entitled to all of those things. And so I didn't, turning negative self-talk into positive self-talk isn't necessarily my expertise, but I wanted to share a couple of strategies that have really changed this for me, because I think that it's really easy to implement these changes for you to adopt them, basically. So over a year ago, about a year and probably 14, 15 months ago, I started going to yoga. And my motivations for going to yoga was so that I could be like flexible and do cool yoga poses. So, and I can say with certainty that just hasn't happened yet, and it might not happen, but that's okay. Because what has happened is that if you haven't gone to yoga, excuse me, if you haven't gone to yoga, yoga teachers have like this really lovely way of communicating. So their voices are soft and they really take a lot of time to make sure that you focus, that your yoga practice for that day really meets your needs. And they encourage you through what they say in class to really think about what those needs are. I mean, so sometimes you go to class and you like really want to push yourself to do something new, but often I find that actually I like push myself in every other area of my life that I'm not really, it's actually not going to be that helpful to me to be able to do a handstand. Like yoga is actually where I go and I practice imperfection. And so and you'll often be asked to have an intention for the class or something that you want to work on in your practice. And so for me, I almost always take the opportunity to practice imperfection. So I would encourage you to try yoga and see if that helps. One thing, so I have this one experience where I knew yoga had changed my life because I do most of my workouts are actually like high intensity circuit workouts. And I had taken a few weeks off because I'd been on vacation and I hadn't been at the gym in a few weeks. So I knew it was going to be kind of a doozy. But I was on the treadmill and my knee started hurting, which was really weird. I don't have any knee injuries, but I thought, you know what? I have yoga tomorrow. Like, I'll take it easy tomorrow and I'm going to run through this pain right now. And as soon as I said that, I had this other voice in my head that said, Jen, you're going to do what you need to do to take care of yourself right now. I don't know where that voice came from, except to say that it came from yoga class. Like, you're not going to wait until yoga to take care of yourself. Like, that's crazy. Take care of yourself now. So I slowed down on the treadmill. I actually walked for a while, and eventually I was running again. And it was just like a passing thing, but yoga made me do that. Like, I can assure you, it's not part of who I was before yoga to take it easy on myself and check in and like really take care of myself. I would have said like, oh, tomorrow's an easy workout. I'll rest then. But yoga said like, where are you right now? Are you in pain right now? Why don't you slow down? Which is a very logical thing to do if you're working out and something hurts. It makes sense to stop. So yoga's really changed my brain like that. And I think if you're really struggling with showing yourself kindness and compassion, that yoga can help you too. Not a yoga instructor, just a person who really needs yoga and who's really benefited from yoga. So I would recommend giving it a try. There's also something else I've done that's super easy and has actually made a really big difference. So I have downloaded a mindfulness app, and it's called Experial. I'll actually include a link to it when I send out this replay so that you can see. And basically, it pings me several times a day right to my iPhone, and it says, how are you feeling? It's amazing. It's so simple. And there's two reasons that I really like it. So one is it asks, how are you feeling, not how are you being, right? And that's actually a really important distinction. So you might be like feeling lazy, but that's like totally different than like being lazy. So it asks me how I'm feeling, and it's funny because it pings me at the same time every day. And so like every day at 11:30, I get this ping. I look at my phone and it's like, how are you feeling? And I'm like, oh, actually I'm hungry. Like, it's almost lunchtime. So that's my thought at 11:30 every day. And then usually, it pings me again at 3 in the afternoon, and I'm usually like, oh, coffee. I need coffee. That's how I'm feeling. I'm dragging a little bit. But taking time throughout the day to just say, I'm tired. I'm hungry. I need coffee. I need water. I need to get up away from my desk. I don't remember the last time I left. Has been hugely has been hugely helpful. So I really recommend using this app, or if there's others out there, to try it, because if you can just take note throughout the day, like, I'm tired, I'm unwell, it's easier to then say, okay, you know what, I'm going to take it easy tonight. Like, I'm going to sit and watch TV, or I'm going to read for fun, or something like that. Instead of waiting to this tiredness and this fatigue and this burnout like really adds up, you get to check in with yourself regularly. And the other reason is it keeps you from really placing blame, right? So I'm not tired or lazy because I'm not moving towards my goal. Like, it pings me at work, and I am able to just see right away, like, oh, I am really stressed out right now. This is a lot on my plate. I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break. So when an app pings you, it's not like a negative self-talk thing that's going to kick in. It's just like, how are you feeling? It's a third party that's just going to say, that just gives you an opportunity to be honest with yourself. And it asks the question in such a way that it's hard to just be like, well, I'm being super lazy and I'm really angry with myself. Like, no, you can just say, I'm tired, I'm burnt out. And then you can realize that that's how you're feeling, and that there's nothing really wrong with your behavior. These things can take some time. So I would say it really has been, a year and a half before I don't really have a lot of negative self-talk anymore. It creeps in, but like, I can immediately shut it down and really like turn it into something productive. So the first step, I think, is to really notice it, and just commit to noticing it. And that's what I ask people to do when they tell me that they're experiencing this. And then the next step is to say, like, okay, what else can I do with this? Like, what else is going on? Usually it's frustration and sometimes lack of clarity. Sometimes just having a bad week and there's really like nothing major that you need to work through. But use an app like that, kind of track your responses and see if there's something going on, and maybe think about how you can be a little bit more strategic. Be kind to yourself, because you guys are all really awesome. And I was really upset to see that this was such an issue. So I'm going to be talking about it and blogging about it on my website for sure, because it was clearly an issue. Okay, so I'm sorry I had a couple coughing episodes, but I've basically covered what I wanted to cover tonight in response to the pre-workshop survey. It's really important to remember that what you're doing, which is in a very, very busy, chaotic world, you're trying to create like sustainable social change, creative work, while like having a life and sort of being able to spend time with friends and family. It's actually really hard. It's not easy. If it were easy, I wouldn't need to be on YouTube right now sharing my strategies, right? You would just know, you'd be able to do it. So it's really a good time to give yourself credit for all that you're trying to accomplish. This was a workshop that was really geared towards busy people with big goals. So it's important that you take a moment to realize, like, I've got a lot on my plate and I have a lot of goals and I'm an ambitious person, but I'm going to start thinking of myself as an ambitious person with a lot on my plate and not a lazy, unmotivated person. If you have any questions about the strategies that I have talked about here tonight, I said this workshop would be an hour. I really made it a little bit quick and dirty, mostly because talking makes me cough right now. So I didn't want to spend all this time coughing in your ear. If you still have time set aside for this workshop, I'm on Twitter and I will be on email if you want to email me questions. But if you don't have any questions for me, I hope you take the next 25 minutes or so and spend some time really thinking about what those goals could be for you. So get some clarity around that. And even if you don't get clarity, start exploring it, start putting it on paper. Putting things on paper makes it real. I heard someone say, like a millionaire writes their goals down once and a billionaire writes their goals down twice. I don't know if that's true, but the point is writing your goals down is very powerful, right? So feel free to even just start exploring with a brainstorm, and then think about another brainstorm could be, what are some sample steps? Again, there's a workbook on my website under what to do when fear of failure holds you back. You can download it. It's totally free. And that will help you with actually both the goal and the smaller steps. So that's really where I hope that you can get started and spend some time this evening. If you are new to Work Wonders, I hope that you will enjoy the stuff that's coming your way. You'll be signed up on the mailing list. You'll get some special treats. And yeah, if you have any questions, email me, jen@workwonderscoaching.com, or Twitter @JenWalkerWall, 2 N's. And any questions I receive about this workshop before Friday at noon, you'll receive in the email with a replay later this week. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me. Be kind to yourselves, and I really look forward to getting feedback from you and hearing what was helpful and what you still need help on, because I'll help you with that too. All right, thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.